Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Welcome back to Worth Guitars. Today, I was about to get this prepared for sealer because now it's time to put sealer on here and do the grain fill and then throw it in the spray room. But I realized that I'd forgotten to do something, which I tend to do sometimes. And I forgot to drill a hole for the jack. And this thin line guitar is pretty thin on the edges. You know, it's got a nice belly in it and it's got some meat in the insides where all the pickups and everything goes. Still get good tone, but it gets a little thin out on the edges here. And I was a little worried, but I do have just enough room for a nice football type jack plate, which is my favorite kind. I don't know why. So I actually thought about doing one of the kinds that has threads that go down into the guitar. And I might do that on one in the future, but I think I'm going to go with the bullet on the football on this one. I think that's the way to go. So that's what we're going to do right now. I got this nice rig set up for doing necks with our neck jig, but it also works for doing things like little touch-ups on spray and stuff like that because it's out here. It has a light right over top of it. I can get the airbrush out if I need to touch up something, or if I just need to work on the edge of something. And it's, you know, open around it, and I like it. Looks good for a lot of different stuff. So I've already got the center. I've already got the center marked out on here where I want it to go. So I'm just going to very carefully drill down into this, right where I want it. I'll drill from this side right here. Gotta get the right, it's a little too high for drilling, so that doesn't work that great. And of course, the battery on the drill has to die right when I'm in the middle of something. And that's frustrating. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. New battery. Boom. Okay, here we go. This is good. I'm almost there. Okay, that's awesome. It's perfect. I'm going to stop right there. There's plenty of room for the wire to get down in there, the jack to get down in there. And that's all we need. Just a little bit more of that one spot there. And it's just about in the way of this potentiometer, but it misses it enough. I think that'll work. And now our little football will cover that right there. Beautiful. Okay, we got that done. So now we're back on track. So you can see it gets a little thin out on the edges there. That's more than enough room. Everything will work well. So this guitar is just about ready to have sealer coat sprayed on it. Of course, I need to tape off the fretboard, and I need to, let's see what else. Oh, I need to check for scratches. So I'm going to take it over here, put a little water on it, and I'll show you what I mean by that, putting a little water on it. All right, hang on, I'll be right back. Okay, so what I mean by putting a little water on it is just before we put a finish on something, or I put a finish on something, we always check for scratches very well, holding it up to the light in different angles and making sure that we got it sanded out straight. But every now and then a little scratch will still slip through because they're kind of hard to see, especially small ones, and especially in maple, they hide a little. So an easy way to make sure there's no scratches in your build, whether it be a piece of furniture or a guitar or anything that you're building that you're about to stain, you've gone through all the trouble of sanding, you've gone through all the trouble of sanding it. Believe me, it's really a bummer when you put stain on something and all of a sudden a big old scratch shows up. And it happens more than you'd like to think. So an easy way to make sure that doesn't happen is to put a little water on it first. You can also use alcohol. Alcohol will not raise the grain so much. It will open the grain some for difficult woods to stain like maple. Maple can be a little tricky. It's a little blotchy with some stains and some colors. It just looks like, weird because it's got such tight, weird grain in it. But an easy way to make sure there's no scratches in there is to use a paper towel and a little bit of water. Paper towel, a little bit of water. A little bit of water. You don't need to make it real wet. We're just trying to make it damp. And you just take this paper towel and wipe it down a little. And as you're wiping it, if there's a scratch in there, it'll immediately show itself because that grain in that scratch will be darker than the rest of the surrounding wood around it. The grain has been pushed around to the point where if you put water on it, it makes it swell a little and it makes the scratch stand right out. I think that's what I was trying to say. So we just go over it, and you don't have to make it real wet. You see how it immediately evaporates? It's just enough to go over it and say if there's any scratches in it, because you do not want a scratch in it when you're about to finish it. And this does two things. It immediately shows you where the scratch is, and it raises the grain up a little bit. Like on mahogany, it'll raise the grain a little, and you'll say, well, why would you want to raise the grain after you've already sanded it? Well, it actually makes the wood smoother if you come back and sand it again, because you've raised the grain, you sand it again, now you flatten that grain down, whatever raised up, you flatten back down. And when you put your finish on there, if you're using stain, especially a water-based stain, it won't raise the grain again because the grain's already been raised and sanded back down. Does that make sense? Okay, so it helps a couple of different ways. Plus it gives you a super smooth finish once you come back and hit it again with some 320 or 220, wherever you want to stop at. 220 is usually sufficient for spraying lacquer on top of it because you're going to sand the lacquer anyway, right? So anyway, that's what we do. And I've already been over this once, but I wanted to show you guys how we do it. And it's looking good. There's actually a little bit of rough spot right there. And I'll show you what I mean. Hold up. I don't know if you can see it, but right there, in that area right there, there's a little bit of a weird spot there where the grain is scratched going in the wrong direction. But that shows you that grain is not sanded properly yet. So I'll go back and hit that again. We'll let this dry. We'll get it prepped. We'll put it in the spray room. We'll hit it with some sealer. We'll hit it with some grain fill. Seal it again, and then it's time for color. This baby's going to be black, midnight black. Everything on it's going to be black. Heavy duty guitar, glow in the dark inlays. It's going to be pretty badass. Okay? So this one's just about ready to get some color on it. Looking forward to that. Now it starts picking up speed. Of course, I need to take this off. I'm going to do that right now. Hit it one more time with the 320. I'm going to throw it in there. I'm going to hit it with some sealer. All right? So that's what I'm going to go do. I just wanted to show you this little process of ours and tell you thank you so much for subscribing. If you have subscribed, thank you so much. If you haven't, please think about hitting the subscribe button. It's right down there. Hit that and share it with your friends. Leave a comment if you want to. We'll talk to you later. We'll see you out there somewhere. Peace. Worth Guitars. Bye now.